Welcome, welcome, Michelle. I am so looking forward to our conversation today. Before we get started, why don't you just give a little bit of background about what you do?
Hi, Lauren. Thanks for having me with you today. I am a certified public accountant, and I provide tax, client accounting services and business consulting to clients in my geographical area, but actually we've expanded to work around the world.
Excellent. And I know that we're talking about your journey over the past couple of years. So what were things like actually before we met and started working together?
Before we met, it was shortly after COVID, and I was struggling with growing the practice, struggling with raising rates for my current clients, and our processes were present, and however, we weren't working as effectively as a company as we could have been. And we certainly didn't have the right people in the right spots.
You know, that's really interesting because I know that you already had a team. What were some of the changes that you made so you could have the right people in the right spots?
Well, we actually had to terminate some positions that we thought were going to work, but they weren't. And we had to reassess who was doing what internally. And we also had to make sure that we were providing the requisite, the training that we needed to provide to the team.
Mm-hmm. As a result of making those changes, and those are definitely some difficult things that you've done, what have you seen as the result because of that?
Well, we certainly have the right people on the right spots now, and it's also, they're not only in the right spots, they also have the right amount of work to be doing. As a small firm, sometimes you're doing a lot of work and you're not necessarily giving your all to one project, if that makes any sense. But now, given that we've sort of recalibrated and we have people where they need to be, people actually have some time to really work on the things and get the projects done completely. Mm-hmm. Hope that's not tattletaling on what a tax and accounting firm is like sometimes, but it happens when you're a small firm. You're running from one thing to another. And now, at least I have some breathing room, and I think the team does as well.
Excellent. And I've seen you make so many changes, and you've been growing in a really nice way, being able to actually get some things off of your plate and pass them forward. So what were some of the things that maybe you were looking for assistance or help with when we did start working together?
I heard you speak on a PI CPA podcast, and I was really intrigued by the topic, raising your rates and, really, really working to grow your firm. And it really excited me when I listened to you speak. And, one of the primary pieces that resonated when you were speaking was, really when you had initial client meetings and even existing client meetings, really put the ball in their court, really talk about them, what's important to them, ask them questions. So you're listening from the standpoint of, what do they need? And that was, I won't say that was a new light, but the way you spoke about it really excited me. And not only that, obviously, but just growing the firm and raising my rates was obviously of interest at the time.
And I want to just say raising rates is difficult for everybody. It's not like you think about it today and you implement it tomorrow. How long do you think that was maybe on your mind before we started talking about that?
I don't even know. I mean, it was on my mind for quite some time. I just didn't have the steps or the flow or someone like you holding me accountable to make it happen. So it had been a while.
And when I see firms raising rates, a lot of times they'll raise rates with new clients coming in because it's just easier. There's less friction there. But then going back to their older clients or current clients is where things kind of sometimes stop. So were your older clients at your current rates when we first started talking as well? Or
Oh,
were they
no,
at a lower rate?
they were at lower rates for sure.
And how
And
long had it been since you raised some of their rates?
prior to working with you, Lauren, and I think we might have talked about it, I didn't have a systematic process to raise rates. So some hadn't been raised, some were raised slightly. We didn't send a routine email out on an annual basis saying our rates are increasing. And frankly, sometimes I felt bad. I felt bad during COVID. I felt bad if I knew someone was having a financial hardship. So I paused and put, the brakes on raising rates in, I'd say more often than not prior to working together.
And because you put the brakes on raising rates, what did you see that impact having on your firm?
It was stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Cash flow is the biggest issue that you have. Revenues weren't growing, and our gross margins were really tight.
And that stresses out everybody, the whole team, not just you as a firm owner. So when we were starting to talk, were there anything maybe that was an obstacle that kept you or might came up as that you had to think about before we started working together?
Other than myself, the obstacle, me getting in the way,
Uh-huh.
probably the biggest one. And I would say setting the time aside initially
Mhm.
to investing in this practice of really transforming the way I operated in bringing in new clients, raising rates, etc. The biggest obstacle was really, making those changes.
Mhm.
And like I said, having the time to do so, because in some respects, it can be time consuming to make that shift.
Oh, absolutely. So were there any fears then that held you back? Because I agree, as business owners, we tend to be the biggest bottleneck to our own success and everything like that. So were there any fears that came up for you or worries?
Sure, great question. And of course there were. I was very worried that as I raised my rates, particularly with my current clients, that they would leave. And I was also worried that when I spoke to new clients, I was concerned that they would think that we were too high in comparison to the marketplace. I was worried that I couldn't clearly articulate the value that we were delivering as a firm to either existing or current clients. I had a lot of fear around making those changes for sure.
And I think that those are really the most common things that hold us all back from being able to move forward in this direction, especially when it comes to our pricing. So you were mentioning that you were worried about clients leaving, not being competitively priced in the marketplace, or having the right words. So now that you've been doing this for a while, any of those still exist, or have you seen any changes in how you approach this?
I still have a bit of nervousness when I'm talking with
Mm-hmm.
someone new about my rates. I don't think I would be human if I didn't have those
Mm-hmm.
nerves, right? But um, I would say that hopefully I'm answering your question. I just blanked for a second.
Yeah. Uh,
I would go
do you want
ahead,
me to
repeat
repeat
it
it?
for me, please.
Yeah, I was saying that this is a process, Michelle. And like you said, we're all human. So we do think about things, we care about other people. Do you still feel like you struggle with the worried about clients leaving, not being competitively priced, or having the right words, or has some of that changed over time as you've been doing this?
It certainly has changed. I am a lot more confident in speaking to both existing clients and new clients coming in. I am very clear about the value that we deliver here. as a firm, and I'm committed to continuing to speak about that value because it's really helpful to our clients.
Mhm.
The work that we offer our clients, the insights we provide, it's really important for them. They really need us to help them in the areas in which we're helping them. So I'm way more confident. I feel I'm a lot more clear about delivering that message today than I was initially. And I think this goes along with it. I used to talk about what we could do for them technically,
Mhm.
and I really had to build my muscle around the value that we were delivering for them, to them.
Mhm. When you talk about the difference that you make for your clients, I just want to acknowledge that your passion comes through loud and clear, and that also doing this in the beginning, it takes courage. You're going to have some fears and concerns, but it's but from what I've seen and what you were mentioning is that you have confidence where you didn't have it before. Has that been your experience too?
It has, yes. And I also find that we're also, uh, some of the leads that are coming in are more closely aligned
Mhm.
to the type of work that we want to do. And I firmly believe that that is one element of progression as, we've done our work together, that we're really drawing in that ideal client as we and myself get more clear on what we seek to provide to our customer base and how we communicate that.
Mhm. Uh, I want to point out, Michelle, that you tolerated a lot because you care about your clients, you know you can help them, and that you've been able to, over time, address the clients that weren't necessarily a good fit, as well as be more selective about who you did decide to work with, because you know that there's an impact not just to you, but to your team as well, and you don't want to overtax them. What changes have you noticed around that?
In terms of
You being
selecting the right
choosier.
clients, or sorry, say that again.
With you
Selecting
being choosier about who you accept as a client.
it gets, I don't want to say this out loud, too out loud. It gets easier,
Yeah.
in working with the clients. And as, we've made the changes, we've been able to deliver more of the value add. I mean, we're
Mhm.
obviously still doing the work, but we've been able to deliver the value add more. The entire team is getting trained on what that means. And then our junior staff are also getting trained in the same discussions. So it's what we're out to build and what we're out to provide is sort of, it's being cultivated. It's becoming part of the culture here in our firm.
Mhm. I love hearing about the fact that the culture has trickled down, and it's really affecting every single team member. And with that, I wanted to hear, any particular strategies that you've put in place to grow your bank account, as well as allow you to focus more on the higher level services or business development.
Well, through the work that we've done together, we've in the recommendations that you've made, we've put into play package pricing here at the
Mhm.
firm, providing options to our clients and potential clients on how they can work with us. And that has been a great strategy because it's allowed the client to choose for themselves how they want to work with us in their best, what they feel is in their best interest. So that's been a great strategy. Prior to working with you, I would give away a lot of free advice. And now, as a result of working together, we have in place our diagnostic review process, which we do primarily with our client accounting service clients. But we also, for our more sophisticated tax clients, we're performing diagnostic reviews in advance. So we really get a clear understanding of what they need, where their issues are. And that's been a great help. And we're charging for that. We just literally charged our highest fee for a diagnostic review, which was $3,500. We felt the team was excited that we charged that because they were so excited to see that we went beyond our $500, $1,500 per diagnostic review framework. But given the circumstances, we knew that that made sense. So these strategies have really helped us in many ways, including for me gaining greater confidence in gaining greater confidence in charging for our services, even from the outset.
And I just want to go through it again. So one of the things that you've done is moved away from time-based fees over to now packaging your services, which focus on outcomes and solutions that your firm offers. Because of the fact that you offer packages, you can offer them a couple options, so they're choosing the one that feels like a best fit with them, and you're navigating them through that selection process as well. You're now getting paid for information you were giving away for free. I'm going to dive a little bit into the diagnostic review. So first of all, I'm excited to hear that you just got $3,500 for a review, and a paid diagnostic review is just taking a look at what needs to be done. It's not even doing the work. So right. Tell me how the diagnostic review has made an impact on your firm.
Well, in the softer skill side, I'll say it's really provided for increasing my confidence level, right? To be able to even make that recommendation continuously as I move forward with potential clients. And it's allowed us to even feel good about scheduling the work because we knew we had to do the work that we used to do for free, and we still had to schedule that time. Now it's really, it helps us to better schedule our work because we know, we're getting paid for the effort, and we want to put our best foot forward because that's also helping us to understand the next level of work we need to do with the client.
Sweet. And so often, firm owners start out with time-based fees, whether it's an hourly rate or fixed fees, based on how many hours they think that something will take. But you've been able to move over towards value pricing. So how does that affect how you price your services now, because you're focusing on the value instead of time? Any shift in perspective around that?
It's still evolving, and at first it was surprising that, we were actually spending less time providing certain work than we had before. However, it was really the knowledge that we were offering to our clients. So that's really just having that sort of in the back of our minds has really shifted the way that we work. And I think it continuously goes back to having more time to really providing that knowledge and talking with the clients and showing them that we're their trusted partner, we're their advisor, we're really helping them to get to the next level. So that's really the shift that it's caused, if that makes sense.
I think that definitely looking at your knowledge and what you bring to the table is a little bit of a paradigm shift to leave with that as opposed to time, because of the fact that you've been moving this direction. When you actually become more efficient, you become more profitable. You don't get punished for efficiency any longer, but it's also allowed you to really step up more into that partner and advisor role instead of people just seeing you as a technician that's doing the after the fact compliance work.
Sure has. It sure has. And this process, these shifts have significantly improved our gross margin. I'm glad that you touched on that. They've significantly improved our gross margin over time, over the last 2 years.
And with that being said, so that comes from increasing clients' rates also. Can you share some of the tactics or steps that you actually went through to start doing that with your current clients and raising their fees?
shifting from technician to
know how you raise their fees.
uh,
The really difficult conversations.
I I I templated
Mhm.
the work. I wrote out the outcomes that we were providing, what we actually did for them. And I used, in some instances, I just did a mathematical calculation, really, uh, tripling our current rates or our rates that we had given to our clients, looked at the hours, and I said, okay, well, minimally, this is what we should be charging for what we've been providing for them. And that's how it evolved. I just started doing a mathematical calculation and then continuously, particularly working with you, continuously trying to understand the value that we were providing and really making sure that the value was really connected with that mathematical calculation that I did. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, yeah. So
I
first of
had to
all,
do it mechanically first for
yeah.
it to.
So you created your own process, which is great, because I think it makes it easier for you to put things in place then and implement. But the fact that you had this template, you wrote out some outcomes, you were aiming to triple client rates, which if I told most people go and triple your clients' rates, they would be shocked and think that that wasn't possible. You
Yeah.
also knew what your minimum acceptable rate would be for working with someone. But the part that I think was has the most impact is how you had that conversation with the client. So did you start to approach the client conversations in a very specific way so that they would see the value of continuing to move forward with you also?
I did. I
We
think
had
it
a
was
lot of
in a
conversations about that.
yeah, I think it was in a specific way, like just continuously speaking to them about, what we're doing for them, what we can do for them, uh, helping them, to see uh, into the future that as they grow or they make shifts in their business, what we're doing is supporting them in those shifts or in that growth. And we just kept talking about it, about our work in terms of, this is where we're going to be supporting you as you're making these changes or as you need to strengthen internally. Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the conversation wasn't just about what you were doing and the technical parts of the work.
No, it was about them. It was about, really looking at their KPIs, what they wanted to accomplish over the next 1 or 2 years. I wanted to know what kept them awake at night, really, so that we can ensure that whatever we were doing to support them would help them feel more calm or be more calm in the long run and feel confident that things were taken care of in their accounting department so that they could do what they need to do to bring in to enhance their cash flow or grow their revenues. But it was just continuously about them, sitting down and talking about them and
Mhm.
how we're helping them with wherever they were taking their company.
And as a client-centered firm, Michele, the fact that you were able to now have a conversation that focused on them is very aligned with how you worked with your clients anyway. So I think that sometimes you might not always see the value that you bring to the table as a firm owner, and that we had a couple of conversations about how to approach this with a client strategically, but then you would just take it and run.
I I guess it's true. Sometimes it felt like it was painful, but it definitely was very important to do it that way.
Mm-hmm. And as you've mentioned, this is a work in progress. It's an evolution. It's something that you continue to get better. So what are some of the things that you're doing maybe to fine tune your systems that continue to also increase your revenues?
Well, it's continuously working to understand the outcomes, right? To make sure that I'm training myself to really be able to speak to clients about the outcomes that we are offering them, or, you know, what, in helping them in their areas where they want to achieve. And also we're working to crystallize our processes. So one of the processes that we've recently really worked on crystallizing is what are the steps we do internally from the point we get a lead comes into the firm to the time they either choose to work with us or they say, no, thank you. So we've really clarified that process and everyone's role in the process, because what was really happening was I was doing a lot of that work. There are quite a few steps in that process. Yeah, I have, you know, an administrative assistant, I have an engagement manager, and we really had to work internally to ensure the process was clear so everyone understood their role to really make it work smoothly. And now it's about working collectively to build the business, as opposed to Michele doing it from start to finish in that business development area. So we've recently finalized clarifying how that process works. And that's just one of a few we have to do.
Part of what I'm really hearing is that there was so much that you were doing yourself, and it was all on your plate and your shoulders. You were like the spoke of the wheel. And now you've been able to kind of evolve and mature your firm so that some things that were solely you or only you could do, you've been able to systematize it and be able to pass it forward. So now collectively, it's done together as opposed to done by Michele.
Yes. Yes.
That is a beautiful thing. Systems.
It really is. And they're excited about it. So, you know, it's a team working together to move the firm forward.
And do you feel that there's any challenges that you personally face or felt like were important to overcome?
In terms of making these changes internally or working with you?
Or just with your own growth and evolution of moving away from some of the day-to-day technical pieces into more advisement and business development?
You know, it's struggling with the realizing the value that you are delivering, realizing the knowledge that you are providing. Some days it's really clear that myself and others on my team have it and we're doing it. And some days it's not clear that. And so you know, sometimes it's a struggle to really connect with the fact that we are delivering great value to our clients.
And I do appreciate the transparency with that. What I wanted to know then is because you've been able to move in this direction and it is a process, any changes you've noticed in your business or even in your personal life because of the fact that you're value pricing and you're working with a different type of client, you have more systems in place? What's been the impact on you professionally as well as personally?
Professionally, over the last 2 years, we've grown anywhere between 25 to 50% top line revenue. And as we continue to move, you know, through the year, we're continuing to improve our gross margin. It had been flat prior to doing this work and making these changes. And we've also, so that's obviously resulted in improvements in cash flow. And so it's really allowed us to invest in our infrastructure, make changes to you know, our equipment infrastructure so our team can work more efficiently. And it's, you know, it's done a lot to really help us to grow. And our plan is to continue to see that growth through the end of this year and through next year as well.
And any changes because you're a business owner on your personal life that it's had?
Well, we've been able to, live in an area that we've wanted to live for quite some time. We live at the beach now. We've been able to do that. And I get to spend more time with family and friends and taking weekends off and enjoying the beach, actually going to it, which, I wasn't doing routinely prior to making these changes in my business. I was still working hard, and I've been in business a long time, and I was still working hard. And now I've really been able to, spend some quality time with people that I love and travel as well.
And I know that moving to the beach was significant. Not only moving and living in the beach, but moving your operations to the beach too.
Yes. Yeah.
Not having a commute.
Yes.
And anything else maybe that we didn't touch on that you wanted to mention?
And I think we've got, everything that I wanted to share with you, and, with respect to the work that we've done together. And I'm looking forward to continuing to grow and enhance as a result of what we're doing.
Thank you. And Michele, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, get in touch, what's the best way for them to do that?
I would say the best way is my email. And that is, do you want to spell that out for everyone, or say it and spell it? So it's Michele at SchinaCPA.com, Michele at SchinaCPA.com.
Perfect. Michele, I so appreciate you having this conversation with me. The changes you have made over the past couple of years have been amazing. And the fact that not only has it grown your business, but you've been able to really give back to your team as well. And I know that you make a difference for your clients also in such an important way. So thank you for sharing with me. I appreciate that.